Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time you're watching us from. This is Alex Tomaszewska, your confidence coach, and today I have the utter pleasure of interviewing Dr. Cali Estes. Yes, and we're going to be talking about negotiations, a big topic for small business owners who haven't really learned how to negotiate in the previous life in the corporate world. So a few words about Cali. She's a Ph.D. and an author and a highly sought after addiction therapist who's been featured on CNN, CBS, LA Times, and many more media outlets. But today we're not going to be talking about addictions, which is your favorite topic, I'm assuming, but negotiations. First of all, thank you so much. I'm very excited to have you here with us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So let's start, as usual, with your backstory, with your background. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So I grew up very poor, and I grew up with a mother that wasn't very strong. So she wasn't empowered per se. She wasn't in business. She had a very menial job. She made minimum wage, and she was happy with that. So she didn't really she had two girls, my sister and I, and I'm the older one. She didn't really have aspirations for us. It was, marry the high school boy, move next door, pop out a couple kids, work at the mall. That was it. And I knew at 14, I didn't fit that. I wanted more. I wanted to make money and I wanted to travel, and we never traveled. We always had the used car that was falling apart, and my mom was okay with all of that stuff. She never really wanted more. And I remember sitting there at 14 going, I want to take over the world. Like, I want to travel and I want to make money and I want to write a book. And I was talking to my mom about it and then my stepdad at the time, and they both looked at me. And you have to picture, we're sitting at this dining room table, and my stepdad was a truck driver, never finished high school. So he's got holes in his shirt, and he's dirty from truck driving. And my mom's sitting there in her scrubs from the hospital where she worked. And I'm talking about making money and traveling. And they're looking at me like, we don't know what to talk about. Like, we don't know anything about that. It's not what we do. So I remember saying, I want 4 things out of life. And they looked at me and said, what do you want? I said, I want to make $1 million. And they laughed. They're like, okay, that's a lot of money for somebody, who makes nothing, And I said, I want to go buy a car off the showroom floor. I want to walk in and buy a car in that showroom because we never had a new car. And they're like, that's an expensive purchase. Right. And it was negative. And then I said, I want a house by the beach because we're 3.5 hours from the beach and we never go. And they went, well, a beach is a vacation. I'm like, no, a beach is where you live. No, we don't do that. And the last one was, I really want to find a real man. I want to find a husband that wants what I want. And they laughed at me and said, that's not our family. And I remember thinking, wow, that doesn't fit me. So I set out on this quest to debunk basically my limiting belief system of childhood. And I said, I'm going to get those 4 things. Watch me. And by the time I was 30, I had the new car. I had 4 new cars, house by the beach. I made $4.1 million. I did it all. Now, I lost it in the economic downturn in 2008. I lost everything. Gained my husband, because remember, I had 4 things. The husband was on there.
Yes.
And then I slowly rebuilt everything. House by the beach, the cars, the husband. So I'm like in a second phase. I've been homeless twice. And it was because, I lost my company and building my company. And when I started my fitness company in 2003, I had no money. And I had, if you remember, like if you go to Walmart, they have those real big tubs that you could put like stuff in, real big plastic bins. Mm-hmm. That's all I had. I had no furniture. I flipped that upside down and put my computer on top of that. And that was my desk for a year. And I sat on the floor and I put pillows behind my back, and that's what I did. And I worked. And everyone said, well, where's your desk? I don't have money to buy one. I don't need one, right? I need to pay for marketing. So I put the money where it needed to go. And from there, it grew and grew and grew. I lost everything. And then I started over and I said, I'm just going to keep going. And my family was right there to go, see, you couldn't do it. And I went, watch me do it again. So one thing I did learn though, because my parents are divorced, from my father, who's a serial entrepreneur, he said, you don't get what you pay for, you get what you negotiate. That's the one thing that stuck with me. So even though my father wasn't a good father, he was a good business person. So he had car dealerships and car fix-it places. What do they call it? Repair shops.
Yes.
And gun shops, and anything you could sell, he could sell. So he kind of gave me an idea of how to negotiate, and I would listen to him. and I learned the structure of the sentences, and I learned what to say when, and I learned when to not talk. And I started to practice it at an early age, and I started to get really good at it. So I love negotiation. I love the topic of it. So I'm so excited to talk about this because it's not something women talk about. It's like, we don't talk about that. We talk about babies, and we talk about showers and cleaning and cooking. And I'm like, what about business and negotiating and making money? And everyone just looks at me. I'm like, okay, so I'm ready for you today.
Oh my God, that was so awesome. That's the first time I heard it, and I had no idea you had such passion for negotiation. And one thing really struck me there when you said, I know when not to talk. I know
Yes.
not. Well, I want to get back to that. This is going to be great. So I was thinking we could start with an example of something that's actually close to a small business owner. So, like you said, a lot of money, like in an ideal world, all the money that we make really should be going into business growth again. But then you want to save that money, so you want to negotiate the best deals on whatever you can. And in my opinion, everything is negotiable, basically. I love to negotiate. And so that's why I love to go to Thailand, for instance, because they are like in the same mindset, you have to negotiate with us. So that's what I was starting. Of course, there's different skills. But let's say a small business owner is negotiating their website. They contact a website designer and they get a price. And it's like not necessarily what I want to pay for the website, but a lot of women, we don't negotiate our salary. No one ever teaches us that, and I think this is why we earn less than men. Not because they won't pay us, it's because we simply don't ask and don't even try to negotiate. So we have this thought in the back of our heads: I'm not a good negotiator. I have no idea how to negotiate, right? And so when you go to this website designer, you're thinking, okay, he's going to give me a price, and I have no arguments to bargain. I have nothing to tell. I have no arguments. So how can you prepare for that conversation so that this thought is gone, so that you actually feel, okay, I'm prepared. Yes, I actually have a chance to get a better price, a price that I actually want and can pay.
So you have to decide first, do I need it or do I want it? If you really, really emotionally attach to something, you're going to lose the negotiation because you'll pay any price for that. And the person you're going up against is going to know that. So you have to decide, do I need it or do I want it? I need a website, right? I don't need that person's website. I don't need his services. I just need a website. So in that instance, what I would have you do is research him or her and the 2 or 3 competitors. Find out pricing, compare. And that way, when you pick the one you want, you can say, well, I would love to work with you. Your website's amazing. So you always give a positive. Website's amazing. You do all these amazing things. But I talked to your competitor, Bobby, and he's a little cheaper. Can you match that rate? And then you pause and don't say a word. So you want to research first, get your pricing down, and then tell them how nice their website is. But also, by the way, your competitor has a little cheaper rate. Can you match his rate? And wait and see what he says. And the reason you do that is people love to compete. People are competitive and they want to win. If you set him up, he has a choice now. He can win and sell you the service and win against his competitor because now he has their market share, which is what he's after. Or he can try to tell you, well, that's what I'm worth and that's what I charge, and argue with you. And that's going to force you to his competitor. So he's in the driver's seat now. And you just sit back and you set him up to give an answer. His answer should be absolutely. Because then he can say to his competitor, I stole your client. That's my client.
Awesome. Brilliant stuff. Because I think what is the idea behind negotiations? What is it that we want to achieve? Do we want to, crush the other person and just say, I want everything? Is that a good outcome when we do that?
No, because if it's a service, you're not going to get the service you feel you should have. So, for example, just to give you an example, I have a signature service called Sober on Demand, where I take the addiction treatment center concept to the client. Okay. So we go in their home, we go to a hotel, we're on the tour bus, we're on set, wherever we want to go. Now, if you went to a treatment center for 30 days, you're going to pay between $30,000 and $150,000. That's standard rate, right? You can negotiate, but you're not going to get too far with them. So I charge the same rate to come to you, but less time because you're getting more of my time. And they say, well, that is so expensive. And I say, why? You would pay that to go to a treatment center where you're going to get 2 hours a week of a therapist, but I'm giving you 8 hours a day and I'm charging the same rate. You're getting value. And when I spin it and show the value, they go, oh, wow, you're right. It's not about the money, it's about the value. But if they say to me, I don't want to pay your rate, I only want to give you $1,000, I'm going to feel cheated. And I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm only going to give you $1,000 worth of my services now. Now we're in a push-pull, like a tug of war. That's not good for anybody because I'm not going to want to produce. They're not going to be happy and we're going to clash and they're going to want a refund. So I always say they need to be happy. I need to be happy. But I always also say my talent isn't based on your budget. I'll negotiate with you, but I have a top rate and a bottom rate, and I won't go under that bottom rate. All good businesses will have that. This is what I want. That's what we could give you as a discount. And that's as far as I can go.
Right.
Just like a car dealership. When you go and buy a car, they do that. Well, I can't give you more than $5,000 off the car. And you're thinking, car was probably worth $5,000, right? After it's made and shipped over, but they have a certain rate that they can be within.
Wow, that was brilliant. I never thought of that. So amazing. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a win-win, but thinking about the psychology behind the negotiations and letting them win by bidding their competitor. This is so brilliant. This is like genius.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So right. So what if they say no? Should we keep digging, keep trying, or just give up? How can we save that situation in maybe in which we really need that service ultimately, and we want that service?
This goes back to want and need. Do you want it or do you need it? If you need it, be prepared to not get a discount. Be prepared to pay full price because you need that and they know you need it. Also, if it's rare, if it's something that only a few people know how to do, you're probably going to pay full price. There's not going to be room to negotiate because it's a unique service or it's a unique product, like a one of a kind. You want a specific vase and the person hand makes the vase. You can't exactly go to Walmart or Target or, a store and buy it. If it's made by that person, she could charge $1,000 and say, that's what I'm charging. If you want it, you're going to pay that. But if you sit back and go, I need this, and there's other places to get it, you can shop around and say, okay, well, thank you for your time. I'm going to shop around. No business likes to hear that because as soon as they hear shop around, they go, oh, they're going to find another deal. It's always about the money, right? I'm going to look around and see what else they have. So they have to do one of two things: give you value for the price so you can feel justified for paying the price, or come down so you feel you got a little of a discount, even if it's $5, $10, $1,000. And I'll give you an example. I spent the night in a hotel last weekend and check-in time was at 4 p.m. And it was raining. It was on the beach. I arrived early. I got there at 1. I said, listen, if you have any rooms open, I'm here early. She said, yeah, I think we could have you invite 2, just hang out in your car because of COVID, whatever. I said, fine. So I'm in the car. It's 2 o'clock. I went back in. She goes, oh, no, we're not ready yet. Give us another hour. Get back in the car. Now it's 3 o'clock and it's pouring. I went back in, no room. She goes, let me call you as soon as we have a room. Okay. So I'm back in the car. Now it's 4 o'clock, no car. Now it's 4:30, no car. Now it's 5 o'clock, no room. I'm still in the car, no room.
Wow.
I went back in. Now it's 5:30 and I said, okay, I've been here since 1. Check-in is at 4. Now we're an hour and a half past check-in. Should I just go home? I mean, do you have a room? And she goes, let me take care of you. And I said, okay, I don't know what that means. So she goes, what can I do to help you? I said, well, you've got a parking fee of $30. You have a resort fee of $40. You have a pet fee of $125. And then you have your room rate. And she goes, let me waive all the extra fees for you. So you just pay the room rate. So it was like $250 in fees that were just waived. And I said, wow, thank you. Now I feel like I got a deal for waiting an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So she made me feel good about my purchase at that point. Now, it's a situation where she couldn't control. Now, let me step you back. The night before, I was at another hotel, 30 minutes up the road, same exact scenario. And I went in and said, what can you do for me? And she said, nothing. We're full. We don't care. If you don't like it, you leave. Completely different experience.
Yes.
Now I feel like I have no value. I want this room, but it's no value, right? And I said, well, I can take my business anywhere I want. She goes, then go. Wow. Okay. So it's the experience too. I don't need that room. I thought they needed me, but they don't need me. Apparently they have a lots of me looking to purchase. So you have to know the person you're buying from. Are you just one of many? Because if you are, they're not going to give you a deal. And there's certain things, right now that we have a surplus of, and certain things we don't, like gym equipment. When this thing hit, there was no gym equipment. That's, everybody who was selling gym equipment was triple, quadruple the price because they could. Mm-hmm. Now it's a want versus need. You're not going to get a deal. I need that, but it's scarce. So you have to know before you go in, is this scarce or is this plentiful? If it's plentiful, you're going to get a deal with the right person. If it's not plentiful, be prepared to pay full price if you need that. Now, if you want it like a Prada purse, you don't need a Prada purse. You'll want a Prada purse.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to pay $1,300 or $2,600, you can negotiate somewhere else and you can wait because that's a need, not a want.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So a question came to me. What can we use as arguments? When we're collecting arguments, for instance, Googling this business that we're in contact with, what can be an argument? Apart from, so one thing is the competitor's price, right? What else? Maybe some unusual arguments that we can actually use in a conversation.
So you need to figure out what makes this person or the service that you need different. Mm-hmm. Is there something unique to it that they have, or that you could kind of not manipulate, but just change around? So for example, I'm going to buy a car. I love to do certain things when I go. Just to give you an example, I go and I don't dress up. I don't wear makeup. I put my hair in a bun. I basically look as close to homeless as I can. And I do that for a reason. Psychologically, all the seasoned salespeople won't want to see me because they're going to look at me and say, she doesn't have any money. She can't afford the vehicle. So I'm going to get the rookie salesperson, the new salesperson. That's a very important negotiating tactic because they want to please their boss. They want to make a sale.
Nice.
Right? They want to close. They're new at negotiating usually. They're usually new at sales. So when I went to buy my BMW, and if you know BMW, it's considered a little bit of a luxury. I dressed like that, and I went in, and every salesperson passed me by until the guy that came over, and he said, it's my first day on the job. And I went, beautiful. That's what I want. So he comes over, and he says, what do you want? And I said, I want that vehicle. And it was sitting in the middle, and he goes, oh. And he put his head down, and his shoulders slumped over. You've got to read their body language. When the shoulders are down, the head is down, he's thinking he can't close the deal. Now I can negotiate anything with him because he needs to close that deal. So I'm reading how he's not happy, and I'm talking about the car, and he's like, well, this one's upgraded, has all these extra features, it's extra something a month, and he's trying to talk me out of the car. And I said, yeah, but I really want that car. And he goes, well, what's your credit score? And I said, I don't know. And that really dejected it because now he's thinking you can't get out a loan and you can't pay for the car. And I said, well, he goes, well, do you have a trade-in? And I looked at him and I went, yeah. And he goes, what do you have? And I said, a BMW. And he goes, you're a BMW owner? And I said, yeah. And he just stopped and he goes, well, now that's a whole new story. Suddenly he wanted to wait on me. And I said, let's talk. And he was so excited from there. And I'm like, so this is what I want. And this is what I want to pay. And he stopped. And I leaned back in my chair. And he goes, I don't think we can do that. And I said, just take it to your manager and see what you can do. I gave him a very simple directive and I waited. So it's body language. It's following the conversation. It's telling them what you want and then not talking and waiting for them to process the information. He went to his boss. His boss came back and said, well, we're going to give you this for your car. And I said, well, it's actually worth a lot more. I did my research. So I said, well, actually, according to the blue book, it's actually worth $2,000 more. So let's just start there. And I slid that piece of paper across and I waited. And I was very quiet because now I produced evidence that this is the value of what I want. He went back to the boss. He came back. He said, you're right. We're going to give you that for your car. Now I have 1 win. Okay. Now I'm going to shoot for 2 wins, which I may not get. I got 1 check mark. I said, okay, well, now that we got that done, now I want this car, but I don't want to pay full price. I want to pay this price. And I threw out a price that was ridiculous. And he goes, well, that's ridiculous. I said, it's okay. Take it back. He came back. He said, boss said, absolutely not. But he's willing to meet you halfway. Now, I never expected halfway. I expected maybe 2,000 off. He came back halfway. So I threw a number out on purpose that I knew he wouldn't take, but he wanted to win, right? He wanted that sale. So he met me and I'm like, wait, I got a really good deal on that car. You know, I got a big chunk off. I got my car paid off. This is good. And I felt like I won. The salesperson felt like he won because he closed the deal on the first day of his job, right? And they sold the car on the showroom floor. So it's a win, win, win. And if you play it right, you'll win, they'll win, and everybody will be happy. And then I also got free oil changes for 2 years.
That's an awesome story. Wow, brilliant, brilliant. The one thing that we as women do a lot is talk a lot, and every time just try to justify why we're doing something, It's incredible. How do you practice for that? You know, not talking. Do you remember? I mean, you've done it when you were a teenager already, right? To shut up. Is there any exercise that you do?
Think of it this way. If you have children, I'm sure some of your listeners have kids, right?
Yeah.
And you have a 5-year-old and you're in the store and the 5-year-old says, Mommy, I want that toy. And you look at the 5-year-old and you're tired, you're exhausted, you're just trying to get the groceries and you say, no. And he says, but I want it. Do you stand there and have a full-on justification of why he can't have the toy and you're tired and all this is going on? No, you say, no, I said no, get in the cart, let's go. Or get in the buggy, let's go, right? And it's over. That's the same thing with negotiation. You have to be able to not justify the reason for no. No, I don't want to pay that price. You don't have to tell them why. This is what I want to do. Just like you would with the 5-year-old. You don't have to explain to the 5-year-old that money is tight and, you know, he has 2,000 toys and doesn't need that. It's just no, right? And that's it. So it's the same thing. And you never talk last or first. So you tell them what you want and then you pause and don't talk again. Let them talk. And if it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute and a half, let them talk because you're going to want to say something. And as soon as you do, you've lost the argument. So I always say, this is what I want. And then I always lean back in my chair. Once I lean back, I'm not talking. Now it's your turn. And sometimes it'll be a staring contest for 2 or 3 minutes and they'll get uncomfortable and they'll talk.
Wow.
And that's your goal. You want to get them a little uncomfortable. So they're like, okay, now what do I do? I've got to give her something. I can't sit here and stare at her, right? I just step back. Okay. What do you think?
I heard about those 2 or 3 minute silences, but I never had one. That must be just absolutely incredible. So what do you do during that silence? You know, do you like think about the stuff that you're going to be doing at home? Oh.
If you're really uncomfortable, go on your phone and just play around. Just like you're done. You're showing them I'm done. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'm on the next topic.
Wow, brilliant. So I sold my car yesterday over the phone because the car was elsewhere. And that guy tried this negotiation technique on me. So he calls me and he says, oh yeah, the car, it has there's something on the paint and then the bumper is scratched and something else and there's oil under in one place. And I didn't even know about the oil and the bumper. It turned out something fell, a fence fell on the car while I was gone, and I had no idea about that, and that was the scratch from. But anyway, he says these things, and then there was no response from my side. I said, and he tried to negotiate, but he didn't budge. I mean, I didn't budge. He didn't get any price off apart from the bumper, which I had no idea about. So, but he was trying to get a much bigger price for that. And I just said, no, this is my price. But I knew that he had driven 100 kilometers to see the car. So
Uh-huh.
I felt like this is my leverage. You know, I know this. It was a very special car, a convertible, and there's not a lot of them. So it's a valuable product.
Uh-huh.
And I was just completely confident. But I started with this thought in mind: uh, if he doesn't take the car, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm absolutely fine. And this helps tremendously, I think.
It does. And to your point, you had a rare commodity. You had something you knew value. And you also know he drove a very long way for the car. So he's not going home empty-handed. He wants to try to negotiate, but he's leaving whatever your price is. He came that far knowing that's the price. So he had the money with him to meet your price. He just thought, let's see if I can get a little value. And chances are he went, that's a girl. I bet I can talk her down. And you said, nope, I'm going to stick my boots in the mud. I'm not getting down. Nope. And he just went, okay, I really want the car. So that's want versus need. I want this item.
Mm.
I did the same thing when I sold my house in Colorado. There was a family that wanted the house, and they really wanted this specific house of the layout. And Colorado market was up when I sold it. So we had a bunch of offers. And this one came in, it was probably the best offer. And she wanted this and that. I want this AC fixed and I want this cleaned. And I said, no, it's the way it is, the price it is, don't ask. Well, we want this. Nope. And the third time she was standing right in front of me, it was like right before closing, I said, if you don't want it, I have 11 other offers. I have no problem selling it to them. And her face just went, oh, you're not even going to work with me? I said, no, I don't have to. It's supply and demand, right? I have something people want, like your car. I don't need to negotiate with you. It's a want versus a need. If you want the house, you pay the price. Otherwise, find another house. You don't need that house. You want that house because of the build out for what you're trying to do. It makes sense. So that's the difference. So when you go to negotiate, you have to decide, do I need it or do I want it? If I want it, I'm probably going to pay full price. But if it's something I need, I might also pay full price. But is there competitors? Is this thing plentiful? If it's plentiful, you can negotiate. If it's not plentiful, you're probably going to pay full price and then be okay with it.
Awesome. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. We're going to wrap up here. So much information and lovely stories. And so tell us, what can people contact you about? What do you want to be contacted about? Do you have something for the audience that you would like to share with them?
Yes. If you go to unpauseyourlife.com, I wrote a book called The 7 Key Principles to Tap into the Wealth Inside You. And it's all about reducing limiting beliefs and being okay with money and jumping and finding a roadmap. The book is there if you want to buy it, but there's some freebies. You can download some exercises to help you if you feel stuck. You know, you're not quite sure what you want to do and you want to grab some extra things. It's unpauseyourlife.com. And then my other website is caliestes.com. So it's first name, last name. And you can reach me through Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. It's all Cali Estes or Dr. Cali Estes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. The links will be available under the video. Of course, you don't have to punch it in. You can just click on that. It was absolutely brilliant. And I want to wish you all the best with your business so that you never go homeless again, you know.
Yes.
No one has to go through that. This is Cali Estes and Alex Tomaszewska. Thank you, everybody, for watching too. Bye.